Hi everybody, it's Tyler here at the Eastern Pennsylvania State Championships and checking in with 169A. It's the Calvary. This team had a phenomenal day here so far, one of the top teams at this event. A lot of great stuff. We're going to be doing a full robot overview on this. A lot more info into their MCL, how they're a little bit unique into that, so can't wait to dive more into that. But just an overall very robustly built, great machine as well too. You'll hear more about their drive base, different scoring capabilities, some more of their match strategy as well too. So let's learn more about them here on Pits and Parts. Taha, let's dive more into this robot here. Starting with your drive base, what do you want to highlight on this?
All right, well, to start off, we run a 450 RPM drivetrain, gearing 36s to 48s and 55-inch wheels. But what we do specifically is we wrap flex wheel, cut up 2-inch flex wheels around our 48 tooth gears for our barrier cross. And we also ensure we have these little super shaft, drilled out super shafts to make sure our gears don't rub, because the biggest thing we found so far this season is that our barrier cross tends to be bad when the gears are rubbing, and if you can just make sure your gears don't touch, you just glide over smooth like butter.
And do you use that in lieu of plastic? We see so many teams are putting on different edge guards and stuff like that. Are you using that in lieu of that?
No, because our drivetrain is high up enough that where we contact the barrier with enough of the wheel that we can just cross over, and we use a lot of metal on the bot. We also have vertically stacked motors. We keep our center of gravity very low so that because we have all this steel and metal on the bottom of our robot that it just pops up and we have to worry about tipping, so we can cross quite fine.
Let's pass over to Ben, talk a little bit more about the scoring capabilities. Ben, your team is obviously one of the top throughput scorers here at Eastern PA State Champs. So what has been so successful for you, and can you walk us through some of the key attributes?
Sure. So looking at our robot utilizes a flap and rubber band wheel mechanism. We utilize a two-motor stage. Our storing stage, as AJ can demonstrate, this rubber band roller spins in reverse, and basically we can store the balls like this. What's helpful is we use rubber bands on the bottom of our drive in order to keep it flexible but still scoreable and good compression. So I just want to talk a little bit more about our high and middle goal scoring. So if we look here, we use a piston here. We use a double acting piston for equal force both ways. And basically how the middle goal works is we pull that piston down all the way, and through that gap, the balls are able to score really quickly, really efficiently.
And that also helps us score 7 really consistently on the middle goal, because it's just pulling down a band. We go in really far, and we can just sort of control where we are, unlike a gate where you have to be a certain distance away.
Looking at some of your iterations throughout the season, what do you think your biggest change or iteration has been throughout the season to be so successful?
I think the biggest change this season is from a scoring bot to a more dynamic offensive and defensive bot. At the start of the season, we had a robot which mostly included flex wheels. We found the main issue with that was that the robot would jam, and also that we had a single file storage, which would mean we could only hold around 4 or 5 balls. As we evolved through the season, we used these 1/32 inch height polycarbonate funnels, and basically what this allows us to do is it allows us to take up to 8 balls, because this latex tubing allows us to stretch the balls down here in the storage to around 2 blocks wide.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. As a leading AV systems integrator and live events provider, Visual Sound delivers the best solution for corporate and educational markets. From initial design to final installation, Visual Sound builds and supports the AV environments you need to deliver a seamless experience for your audience. Visit visualsound.com to level up your next event or to design your systems integration experience today.
Let's start talking a little bit more about code on your robot here. Jack, when we were talking earlier, we've seen teams use MCL, right? But you guys are doing something maybe a little bit different that teams could learn from. So what do you want to talk about on that?
Yeah, so just some basic code stuff. We use a custom template that was developed throughout the course of the high stakes season by me and by a few other members of our team last year. It has basic stuff, odometry, PID, motion control, all that sort of thing. But this year we wanted to do MCL because we knew that crossing the park barrier was extremely important during prog. And with odometry, if you're running a horizontal tracking wheel, you basically can't cross a park barrier, or if you can, it's going to be very inconsistent. So what we did this year was use Monte Carlo localization, which has become pretty popular. Essentially, we use 4 distance sensors around the robot, and these distance sensors measure the distance to the field wall, as well as the other field objects, and then we run a particle simulation and approximate the location of the robot as we go. So at the start of the season, we ran pretty standard MCL, just your basic, other teams doing the same thing, but kind of throughout the season, we developed a more novel approach. So one of the main things that we did was that we wanted to speed up the particle filter a lot, And one of the things that was slow was our normal PDF approximation because it has an exponent in it, so e to the x, which is really slow for computers. So if you see here, this is a graph of our approximation using a Taylor series. We essentially represent that normal PDF function as a Taylor series with 4 different polynomials in it. And then it's roughly the same function as the normal PDF, but instead of using an exponent, it's just multiplication and addition, which is much faster for computers. And this allows us to simulate over 10,000 particles, which is, I think, more than any other team I've seen in Vex Robotics this year, which is pretty nice. And then the other thing we do is that we perform what's called a ray shape intersection test. So one of the biggest issues with MCL this year has been the field objects, just because there are goals in the field, especially in the center of the field. It's really hard for the robot to see the walls at every single point. So what we do is we actually represent the field with a 2D map using squares, and then we check our distance sensors to simulate them. We actually perform an intersection with the squares or polygons or circles, depending on what we use, and then we use that to get our simulated distance for the particle filter. And one of the reasons this works so well is because you'll notice that we mount our distance sensors, we mount them horizontally. And the reason we do that is because the distance sensors actually have a 15-degree field of view on them, or approximately 15 degrees. And when you're using that, we actually use that to our advantage, because when we're looking at something like the long goal support, which is actually a triangle, because of the field of view, the distance sensor, roughly no matter where you put it, sees roughly the same distance because of that field of view. And so we can represent our map as just using squares. And this is really nice because squares are much faster than triangles if you're performing the intersection testing. So once again, just another way we speed up the particle filter. And then the last big improvement that we made is because we're running an all omni drivetrain and only one vertical tracking wheel, we noticed that the predictions were drifting a lot compared to teams that used the traction wheels. So we actually put horizontal drift into our system intentionally. We add just like a simulated amount of horizontal drift based on how much the robot turns. And what this does is that we simulate particles essentially on the side of the robot and in front of the robot, so that if the robot drifts, we are still correcting for that, which has been extremely helpful during skills.
So is it predicting how much drift you're having, or is it just resetting based on the sensors?
So what it's doing is, the way MCL works is you essentially simulate a bunch of different particles, which act as like fake robots, if you will, and then you check and you see, okay, well, based on these distance sensor values, how likely is it that any particle came from our actual robot? And what a lot of teams do is they'll just simulate particles in front of the robot, like moving vertically, because they run traction wheels and they know that there's not a lot of drift. But since we're running omni wheels, there was a lot of drift. So we actually simulate particles to the side of the robot as well. And the amount of particles we simulate to the side depends on how much the robot turns, because we assume that if it turns more, there's going to be more drift in the system.
Very well said for that. Hey, James, let's talk a little bit more about team dynamics. So your team is really a complete team, and I'd love to hear more about just how you operate overall. Talk to me more about it.
Yeah, so me and my teammates here at Haverford are very busy people, so we like to take advantage of our time outside of the shop. So one of the main things we've prioritized is obviously our notebook, as Jack gave us a sneak peek to recently. But importantly, what we like to do is a lot of game analysis, because we view it as important to keep iterating our robot and developing new strategies as we see the game progress, which my teammate AJ here can talk about a little bit more.
Yeah, so as James said, our game strategy has changed a lot throughout the year. I also think our game strategy is one of the main reasons why we've been so successful. So at the start of the season, we focused a lot on controlling one long goal and one center goal. And we actually, before the anchoring rule was in place, what we did, we would essentially just gain control of a long goal and just sit there with our wing throughout the rest of the match. It worked really well for us. That was at the Highlander Summit signature event. And that worked really well for us for the first part of the season. But however, the rule changed eventually, and we had to adapt a little bit, which is why we really started practicing with the D-score wing, so we could still like get the control zone and still get the center goal, because we knew that if we could get 3 goals in any given match, we would win. So our game strategy has come to a point where we basically divide the field into 3 zones, 2 long goals and 1 the center area. And basically, at the start of driver control, both your alliance and you should be fighting over one of these zones. Try to get it, and then once they have it, have the other one just shift to the center, because that's just really helpful. And when you're focusing on one zone, especially the center, is actually pretty easy to get. And if also sometimes we might shift that a little bit to where we'll have our Lions, or we'll play defense on someone, and we'll just make it a 1v1 if we're confident that the other team can beat whoever our opponent is. So there's just different ways that we adapt between matches for that. So there's just a lot of things that we can do in order to get most wins and win matches that maybe we shouldn't, whether it's against two really good teams or whatever. It's just matches that maybe we shouldn't win, we're still able to win just because of really good game strategy.
Well, it's been great here so far, Eastern PA State Champs, so wish you best of luck. The Cavalry, thank you so much for taking time to tell us more about that. A lot of great things I think teams can learn from this robot as well, too, so good luck the rest of the way here in Pits and Parts.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. As a leading AV systems integrator and live events provider, Visual Sound delivers the best solution for corporate and educational markets. From initial design to final installation, Visual Sound builds and supports the AV environments you need to deliver a seamless experience for your audience. Visit visualsound.com to level up your next event or to design your systems integration experience today.